Have you ever wondered if you can use an old server as a gaming rig? Could we just slap a graphics card in there and would you be able to play games on it? Won't it be loud? Well, let's figure it out together. The server we are looking at today is the Asus TS500-E6. This server has an Intel Xeon E5530, 4 cores 8 threads, 24GB of ECC DDR memory, 4 times a 600GB SAS drive, and a 470-watt power supply. Before we install the graphics card, I'm quickly blowing all the loose dust out of here. If I were to do a full service, I would clean the machine better and also change the cooling paste, but for now at least it is a little bit cleaner. This specific server caught my eye as when you look closely, it is a little bit different than other servers as it comes with an ATX form factor motherboard. This motherboard can house up to 2 processors, making it perfect for a possible future game PC build on the channel. The graphics card we will be putting in here is the AMD RX460. This card comes with 4GB of GDDR5 memory and only uses about 75 watts, meaning that the 470-watt power supply is going to be able to keep up perfectly. To install the graphics card is just straightforward, as even though this is a server, we can just plug it into the PCI Express slot on the motherboard. The only thing that was hard to do in this server was to open the plastic brackets to open up slots for the graphics card on the case itself. But that also has to do with me now knowing how I should do this. Now that we have installed the graphics card, how would we do it with sound? This question comes forward because servers are known to come without any audio jack ports. For this reason, I have bought this USB to jack adapter from Sennheiser for only €7, which ensures that I can have audio while using this. And then also this Bluetooth adapter from TP-Link to be able to use my mouse. So then, let's see if we can play video games on this server. The first game we are testing is Counter-Strike Go. I was able to put all the settings on medium and I'm running it at 1080p resolution. The gameplay was very smooth with an average frame rate of 130 frames per second. Sometimes there was a peak of almost 300 frames per second. And when there was a low, this was only towards 91 frames per second. During the time that I was playing the game, you can see that it is mostly the graphics card not being able to hold up, but the processor is not even that busy. The Xeon E5530 is not at all having a hard time. We could easily pair this up with a better graphics card as well. In my future game PC build, I will make sure that that will be the case. It just stays amazing to me that even though the hardware is old, it keeps up perfectly while gaming. While I was gaming, the noise levels stayed stable. The server isn't extremely noisy, but also for sure not quiet. This didn't limit me in my experience, as with the USB to jack converter, I was able to have my headset on and listen closely to the sounds in-game. The amazing thing about using an old server as a game PC is that parts, although new very expensive, currently secondhand very cheap. You can easily get yourself a similar Xeon processor online for about €10 or $11. When you look at a server as well, you can see that this is able to run ECC memory, also something easy to come by for cheap. Server hardware is basically the same hardware as that in your computer. Just build to run 24/7 for many years without failing. You will have yourself therefore a very stable game PC. As you can also see here, I'm able to play GTA 5 on this server at 1080p again on medium settings. During my time playing, I noticed a quite stable frame rate with an average of almost 60 frames per second. This made me have a very smooth and great overall gameplay. There was no case of input lag or massive drops in frames, and I was able to play the game completely stable without an issue, and able to have a great time. If you imagine, I'm currently running this game on a server that cost me €50 to buy, and for the graphics card, I only spent €30 making this server cost in total only €80, and running all these games just perfectly smooth. Who knew that joining the PC Master Race would be able for less than €100? Now we will move on to the next game, Fortnite, a game I've always loved to play. This game was running very smooth with all the settings set to medium, while the view distance was set to far. Running this game, I did notice some stutter when parachuting down. This stutter was visible also in the graphs, as I saw the graphics card jump to 100% usage, then back to 0%, and then back to 100% multiple times. I think this doesn't really have anything to do with the server, but more an issue with the AMD driver that I installed. At a later moment, I've reinstalled the AMD driver, and since then I haven't noticed this behavior anymore. The gameplay was very smooth again. The average frame rate that I noticed is 78 frames per second, making me able to get some kills without an issue. A high frame rate sometimes popped up of 154 frames per second, while in very busy combat, you sometimes noticed 62 frames per second, which was quite a bit lower. This made the game very playable, and also made me very much enjoy the experience as well. Once again, you can see that it is the graphics card being the bottleneck here and not the server itself, as this is running still very relaxed. You might see that I'm not the best of players, but that doesn't stop me from having a great time. The fact that you can run all of this for only €80 or $86 is still just so amazing to me, as I'm not a regular gamer. This seems a way more feasible amount to spend on a gaming PC than those builds that you see for over $1,000. Now we are moving on to the esports title called League of Legends. This game doesn't require very high specs to run, as you can put it on very low settings. But on this server I was able to play this in 1080p on very high settings and still get an average frame rate of 92 frames per second. Sometimes you saw the frame rate jump all the way up to 107, and when it did get lower, it would never go lower than 80 frames per second. Please let me know if you are liking my videos by leaving a like and subscribe to the channel for many more reviews and builds in the future. In a previous video, I asked if you would rather have me use my own voice or an AI-generated voice to do the voiceover, and even though I got some replies stating they would rather have my own voice, the next video I did using my own voice has not been that popular, making me decide to move back to the AI-generated voice. Back to the game, you can see how smooth it runs and how amazing it looks. I never really held high standards for League of Legends, as I always thought it can run on anything, so it isn't that important. But when I see it now, I can finally understand why people are playing this game on very high graphics. It immerses you way more into the gameplay, and it just makes the whole experience even better when you can slay your enemy in HD. I would love to know where my viewers are from. Please leave a comment on my video giving the greeting from which country you are watching. I myself am from the Netherlands, but as my videos are in English, I suppose that I'm getting an audience from other countries as well. The next game we are moving on to is called Splitgate. I played this game for the first time in my first budget build video, and it just amazed me in how cool the gameplay was. I remember from when I was a teenager, I would play Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 every day after school while I was calling with my friends. Those were the good times that you would come home, quickly do your homework, and then move on to play all night long. I ran Splitgate on 1080p medium settings, getting an average frame rate of 92 frames per second, with the highest being 120 frames per second. And one time I noticed that I got down to 56 frames per second, although this only happened after just starting the game. Overall, the gameplay was very smooth and the experience was amazing. I caught myself again playing way longer than my original plan. God, do I love this game. I might not be the best, but just the gameplay itself comes over amazing, and really reminds me of the joy I had back in the day playing as a teenager. I really hope that this video was very informative for all of you, and will also make you realize that you don't need to hold back from gaming on a computer just because it is so expensive. If you would like to buy yourself a server, then just make sure to first check the noise levels, as they can be quite noisy, and second, to ensure that it actually does have a PCI Express slot for your graphics card. This server we looked at today was a tower server. There are also many rack server options, but we can explore this in another video. If you liked my video or have any suggestions, please feel free to reach out on my Discord. You can find me as TechCat #9620. For now, I wish you all an amazing day and see you in the next video.